There are no accidents in this life. If you have found yourself drawn to these words, it is because something within you already knows. You are not meant to struggle. You are meant to create, to manifest, to rule. Lesson 1. Wealth begins in the unseen. You must not seek to be wealthy. That seeking implies it is far from you. Instead, become it within. Close your eyes, feel the luxury, smell the success. Walk through the corridors of your mansion in your mind. That mansion exists now in consciousness, and soon the world will reveal it. Lesson 2. Imagination is the architect of destiny. A man may toil for years and never rise. Yet another man, quiet in his room, dares to believe himself a millionaire and finds the world yielding to that bold belief. What you dare to claim in imagination with feeling, you shall experience in fact. Lesson 3. Your desires are not foolish, they are sacred. If the thought of wealth excites you, if luxury whispers your name, it is not vanity. It is a message. It is already yours in the realm of the unseen. You are only being called to accept it, not with begging, not with struggle, but with a calm and steady knowing. Lesson 4. Assume the end. Do not wait to feel rich until you see riches. That is the long road, and it rarely leads home. Instead, act now in consciousness. Sit as the millionaire. Dress as the millionaire in attitude and thought. Let your inner dialogue reflect it. I have more than enough. I always attract wealth. Everything flows to me. Lesson 5. The senses will lie to you. They will say, you're broke, you're behind, it's not working. But remember, what you now see is simply the echo of old thinking. Do not react. Do not panic. Instead, return to your imagination. Reassume the wealth. Reclaim your throne. And when doubt visits you, as it surely will, remember this: the one who persists in belief, regardless of appearances, is the one who bends the world. You were not born to live under the shadow of fear and lack. You were born to reveal the power of thought, the glory of assumption, the truth that you and your world are one. The world is waiting for the millionaire version of you to step forward, not by chance, but by conscious creation. Speak it, feel it, live it, and it shall be so. The world you move through each day, the people you meet, the circumstances you call real, all of it mirrors the invisible state you carry within. Most believe the world acts upon them, shaping their fate through outside forces. But the truth is far more powerful and far more personal. You are the cause of all that appears in your life. What you accept as true within yourself, quietly, persistently, and with feeling, forms the patterns that appear in your external world. Your bank account, your job, the opportunities or limitations you perceive are not permanent fixtures of fate. They are reflections of consciousness. They bend and shift according to the state you consistently occupy. To become wealthy, you must first stop chasing wealth as something outside of you. Stop thinking it lives in other people's hands, behind locked doors, or far off in a future that never arrives. Instead, turn within. Wealth is a state of mind, and like any state, it can be entered at will. When you change your inner assumptions, the outer world cannot help but reflect that shift. You must begin by imagining yourself as already possessing that which you seek. Feel the freedom, the ease, the quiet confidence of being wealthy. Not as something you hope will happen one day, but as something already true now. Dwell in that state mentally, even while your senses show you the opposite. This is the great test, and this is also the secret. The world does not lead, it follows. Most people think they must work harder, struggle more, hustle endlessly, and maybe, just maybe, they'll arrive at success. But effort without consciousness, leads only to more effort. Real transformation begins when you assume the end. When you mentally claim yourself to be what you wish to express, life rearranges to support your inner identity. And so, if you continue to identify as someone who is lacking, who is trying, who is hoping but unsure, then lack, struggle, and uncertainty will reflect back at you in countless forms. But if you stand firmly in the feeling of already being rich, already being supported, already being powerful, then the world begins to match that energy. Ideas flow, people appear, opportunities rise where none existed before. Understand this deeply. Your life is not responding to your wishes, it is responding to your assumptions. Wishes are passive, assumptions are active. To assume wealth is to make no room for its opposite. It is not arrogance, it is alignment. You no longer beg for change, you become the change. This shift doesn't require anyone's permission. You don't need more credentials, another degree, or the approval of society. You only need to take responsibility for your inner world. Cultivate the thoughts, the feelings, and the images of the life you desire. Live from them inwardly, and soon life will mirror them outwardly. You are not here to observe reality, you are here to create it. Begin today by asking yourself, if I were already the millionaire version of me, how would I think? How would I feel? What would I silently believe about myself? For those answers, enter that state, persist in it, and let the world reveal what was always yours to claim. Imagination is not a mere escape or idle fantasy. It is the divine creative force within you. Everything you see in this world that is made by man, every building, every business, every invention, was once invisible. It lived first in the unseen, shaped by thought and nourished by belief. Before wealth ever shows itself in numbers, possessions, or opportunities, it must exist vividly in the imagination. What you imagine with feeling and consistency becomes the pattern your life begins to follow. The subconscious mind does not question the reality of your imaginal acts. It simply accepts them and begins to arrange circumstances to match what you have inwardly accepted as true. This is the beginning of all abundance, not effort, not struggle, but the quiet, powerful act of imagination. Most people only use their imagination to relive the past or fear the future. They imagine debt, rejection, limitation, and failure, and then are surprised when life delivers exactly that. But when you deliberately direct your imagination, when you choose to feel yourself already rich, already thriving, already blessed, you are planting the seeds of wealth in the most fertile ground there is, your consciousness. Riches are not created by willpower alone. You cannot force wealth to appear by brute force or endless action. You must first see yourself as wealthy in your mind's eye, not occasionally, not in bursts of desperation, but consistently, gently, and with conviction. If you can hold the image of yourself as successful, if you can feel it, dwell in it, believe it, it must externalize. This is not wishful thinking, this is the law of consciousness. That which you occupy within, the state you return to again and again, becomes your reality. You cannot imagine poverty all day and expect wealth to arrive. Nor can you see yourself as a victim and expect to feel victorious. The outer world is shaped not by chance, but by the persistent images you hold within. To become rich, you must first see yourself rich, not as a distant possibility, but as a present fact. You must become emotionally acquainted with the feeling of freedom, of choice, of overflow. Picture yourself walking into the finest spaces. See yourself making decisions from abundance, not fear. Hear others speak to you as one who has made it. Let the sounds, sights, and sensations of wealth fill your mind until they become more real to you than your current condition. There is no limit to what your imagination can produce. If you use it wisely, lovingly, and deliberately, it will lead you to doors you could never have found through effort alone. You will meet the right people, the right ideas will flow, money will come, not because you chased it, but because you became a magnet for it through your inner alignment. Persistence is the key. Do not be discouraged if nothing changes at first. The world must take time to reshape itself around the new image you have given it. Keep imagining, keep believing. Hold the vision and let the outer form catch up. You're not meant to scrape by. You are meant to create. And imagination is the tool. Use it, and abundance must follow. Desire is not something to be ashamed of, nor is it something to suppress or ignore. It is a whisper from the deeper part of your being calling you to remember who you truly are. When a desire rises within you, strong, persistent, and full of feeling, it is not a product of chance. It is not a fleeting wish. It is a divine signal, a seed planted by your higher self, revealing what is already yours in the unseen. So many are taught to doubt their desires, to treat them as unrealistic, selfish, or impossible. They are told to be practical, to settle for less, to fear wanting too much. But the truth is, if you were not meant to have the desire, it would not have been born in you. You could not feel longing for something that does not in some dimension already exist for you. It is your awareness of what is waiting. A true desire carries its own confirmation. It does not come from outside influence or fleeting emotion. It burns quietly, steadily, deeply. It is your spirit's way of reminding you of your potential, your path, your purpose. You do not need to force it. You do not need to prove yourself worthy of it. You simply need to honor it, to listen, and to allow it to unfold. Desire is sacred. It is creative energy in motion. When you feel a desire, you are being shown a reality that already exists in the invisible. Your task is not to make it happen through strain, but to align yourself with it through faith and inner acceptance. The moment you claim your desire as already true in consciousness, you step into the version of yourself that matches it. You must stop treating your desire as something far away. Stop believing it is something you must earn, beg for, or chase. The desire itself is the evidence of its fulfillment. It is not a temptation or a test. It is a glimpse into what is already yours by right of consciousness. That's why it feels so alive, so real, so magnetic. It's calling you home. The world may try to talk you out of your desires. People may say it's too big, too risky, too unrealistic. But they cannot see what you see. They do not feel what you feel. That desire was not given to them. It was given to you, and you must protect it like a flame in the wind. Nurture it with thought. Feed it with imagination. Clothe it in the feeling of fulfillment. Let yourself dream. Let yourself feel the joy of its fulfillment now. Not someday, now. That feeling, that inner conviction, is what brings it into form. Do not confuse waiting with faith. Faith acts now. Faith feels now. Faith knows now. You are not wrong to want more. You are not greedy to desire beauty, freedom, wealth, love, or success. You are simply remembering what your soul already knows. It is yours. And your job is not to question the desire, but to step into it, to live from it, to breathe it in until the world cannot help but reveal it. When you honor your desires, you honor the divine voice within you, and that voice will never lead you astray. Most people spend their lives chasing what they want, running after dreams as though they are always just out of reach. But this constant striving, this feeling of separation from the goal, keeps it away. The secret is not in the chase. It is in the assumption. You must live from the end, not work endlessly toward it. You must think, feel, and act as though the thing you desire is already yours. Because once you occupy the state of the wish fulfilled, the journey begins to rearrange itself in your favor. This is not about pretending or playing games with your mind. It is about shifting your inner stance from lack to fulfillment, from longing to having. If you desire wealth, then mentally dwell in the feeling of already being wealthy. Let that feeling become natural to you. Stop measuring time and progress. Stop asking, where is it? And begin knowing it is done. When you live from the end, you stop begging the world to give you what you want. You stop acting like someone who is trying to become rich, and instead you become someone who simply is rich in consciousness. That inner shift creates outer results. The world is a mirror, and it reflects not what you wish for, but what you assume to be true. Living toward the end is filled with struggle, always trying to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. But that gap only exists in the mind. There is no real distance between you and your desire, only the state you choose to occupy. When you enter the state of already having, the universe begins to move in ways you cannot predict or control. People, ideas, and circumstances arise often effortlessly to support the new identity you've claimed. Many think that if they act as though they are wealthy now, they will become irresponsible or delusional. But living from the end is not about reckless behavior. It is about alignment. You no longer make decisions based on fear or desperation. You think clearly, speak confidently, and act from a place of abundance. This clarity draws the right results to you with far less effort than striving ever could. The end must contain the means. This is a profound truth. If you fully accept that you already have what you want, the path to it must unfold. The means to your goal are included in the assumption of the goal's reality. You do not need to figure out every detail. You do not need to control the process. You need only remain faithful to the end. When doubt arises, return to the feeling. When fear creeps in, return to the state. This is the discipline, to hold the end in mind, regardless of appearances. Feel what it would be like if you already had the money, the success, the freedom. Let that feeling saturate your mind and body until it becomes your new normal. The moment you truly live from the end, everything changes. Not because you forced it, but because you became it. You don't become rich by chasing wealth. You become rich by knowing that wealth is already yours. Let the world conform. It always does. Second, you ask, the world you see around you is not the cause, it is the effect. It is the result of your previous states of consciousness, your past assumptions and long-held beliefs. It is old news. What you are experiencing now is merely the echo of who you were. If you want to create something new, especially wealth, you must learn to ignore the evidence of your senses when it contradicts your vision. This is the test of true faith. Anyone can feel abundant when their bank account is full, but can you feel rich when there is nothing but emptiness staring back at you? Can you persist in the assumption of wealth when the world shows you struggle? That is the power, that is the mastery. You must understand that the senses lie. They report only what was, not what is becoming. If you accept the outer world as final, you are bound to repeat it. But if you close your eyes and look within, if you dare to believe in what has not yet appeared, then you step into the creative position. You become the cause, no longer the effect. When you imagine wealth, when you feel yourself prosperous, successful, and secure, even in the face of contradiction, you are planting a new seed. And just like the seed buried in soil, you will not see immediate proof, but it is growing. The roots are forming. The new pattern is establishing itself. If you interrupt it by doubting, by reacting to appearances, you dig it up. But if you persist in belief, it must emerge. This is not denial, it is spiritual discipline. You are not pretending that problems don't exist. You are simply refusing to make them your truth. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the operant power, the one who gives meaning to everything you encounter. And you have the ability to accept or reject what the senses report. If you check your progress every 5 minutes, you delay the manifestation. You must walk in the assumption that it is already done. Feel it, breathe it, speak as if it were true, plan as if it were true, refuse to let temporary lack shake your inner knowing. This is how reality bends. There is no power in the outer world except the power you give it. And when you ignore the evidence of your senses in favor of your inner vision, you are claiming your authority as a creator. You are saying, I decide what is true for me, not my current bank balance, not what others say, not the noise of circumstance. The world has no choice but to reflect the dominant state you dwell in. When you live as though you already have the thing desired, when your mood, your tone, your expectation match your goal, the world begins to shift. You do not know how, and you do not need to. You only need to remain faithful. Let the storm rage outside. Let the numbers look small. Let the bills come. You are unmoved because you know a deeper truth. Your faith reforms the future. Reality is fluid. It responds to conviction. And once you ignore the old, the new has space to arrive. So walk forward with confidence, not because of what you see, but because of what you know. The unseen is more real than the seen. And when you trust that, you become truly unstoppable. What separates those who succeed from those who give up is not talent, luck, or timing. It is persistence. The unwavering, stubborn loyalty to the unseen, the refusal to abandon a desire simply because it has not yet appeared. This is the secret known by the few. Persistence in assumption creates possession. You may imagine something wonderful once and feel excited, even inspired. But if you let that vision fade under the pressure of everyday life, it will wither. Imagination, like a seed, must be revisited, watered, nourished. You must return again and again to the assumption of already having what you desire. This is not repetition out of desperation. It is repetition out of conviction. Each time you assume the end, you impress it deeper upon the subconscious, where all creation begins. The world does not yield to a faint wish. It bends only to the one who remains, regardless of appearances. There will be moments when nothing seems to happen, when doubt whispers, and when outer circumstances appear unchanged. But this is the precise moment where most people give up, just before the shift occurs. You must not be one of them. Persistence is the bridge, the invisible passage between the idea and its expression. It is not dramatic, it is often quiet, but it is powerful beyond measure. It is the discipline to feel rich when the world says poor, to feel loved when the world says lonely, to feel chosen when others reject you. It is a silent rebellion against what was, and an inner devotion to what is becoming. You may say, but I've imagined many things that haven't come true. And I would ask, did you persist? Or did you flirt with the vision for a few days and then surrender to the evidence of your senses? Most people give their attention to the vision like a candle in the wind, easily blown out. But true creation demands a steadiness, a loyalty to the unseen so deep that the world has no choice but to mirror it. Do not measure progress by what your eyes can see. Measure it by the clarity of your assumption. How often do you return to it? How real does it feel? How naturally do you speak, think, and act from that end? This is where the work lies. not in the outer hustle, but in the quiet, repeated inner alignment. Even when nothing appears to change, everything is changing. The world is rearranging itself to match your dominant inner state. But it takes persistence to hold to that state long enough for it to harden into fact. The moment you give up, you delay the manifestation, not because it was impossible, but because you stepped out of the state that would have drawn it to you. Those who master persistence are not swayed by appearances. They know that creation is finished, that the assumption of the wish fulfilled already contains the path to its expression. They understand that the only work is to remain in that state, to live from it, breathe from it, speak from it, until it becomes natural. Repetition is not dull, it is sacred. Each time you assume, you build the bridge. Each time you persist, you cross it. And one day, without struggle or surprise, you arrive. Not because you forced the world to change, but because you changed. And the world, as it must, followed. Everything you desire already exists in the unseen. Wealth is not something you chase, it is something you awaken within. The secret is not effort, but awareness. You are not trying to become rich. You are remembering that you already are. The inner world is the only creative force. Imagination, belief, and persistence are the tools that shape your destiny. Assume the state, feel the in, ignore appearances, stay loyal to your desire, and above all, persist. Fortune is not granted to the one who wishes, but to the one who knows. The path to becoming a millionaire is not out there. It is within your mind, your feelings, your assumptions. Wealth begins the moment you accept it as your truth. Let the world catch up. Sincere thanks to the listener. Thank you for walking this journey within. May you now see that your wealth is not waiting, it is already yours. Stay faithful, stay still, and remember, you are the operant power.